Oh, we're live. Trying to figure out how to. There we go. Ooh, it works. Okay. I was trying to figure out how to have my computer versus everything else. Sound check. Perfect. Hi, Kaylee. Oh, hi, Mom. Hi, Joanna. I'm so excited you're all here. So, yeah, welcome back to our live stream at the Style Mind Edit, our monthly live stream. I'm trying to do this once a month. For everyone who doesn't know me yet, yeah, I'm Jen. I'm a fashion psychologist. I know, pretty cool. But yeah, I do consulting work. I do B2B work. But on Substack here, I specifically write for the Style Mind Edit. And I wanted to hop on to this live to just discuss my published essay from this week, because I saw that there's quite a lot of discourse around it, and I think it's very important to just like have the time to discuss this in person a little bit more deeply, also my mindset and what I was thinking, and there's also a big personal story included. So yeah, welcome to this conversation. It's not a lecture. I don't want to lecture anyone here. It's just a simple, easy conversation. So yeah, I'm not sure if you all have read the post, everyone who is attending today. I'm going to plop it into the comments for you to, yeah, have a look. This is there. I hope that has arrived. Here we go. And yeah, so this post is all about how your closet practically, learned the same shame your body did. And I know that a lot of people read it. We got so many views on it, and I was so excited about that. Some of you also have commented, and I just really want to talk about the in-depth of that shame, because I think we're underestimating how much we're actually carrying that shame with us every day, day and night. And yeah, because what I keep seeing, not only in my comment section or in conversations, I see even in conversations on Substack that I'm not part of, because I love to look at patterns and see what people discourse about, that women oftentimes are standing in their closets and are asking, can I wear this? And not, do I like this? And I'm like, that's crazy. That's just crazy to me. Why are we not asking, do I like this? Why are we not asking, does this feel like me? Why are we not asking these fundamental questions of our own well-being and our own comfort versus, am I allowed? And where is that coming from? So yeah, I used the space in the essay to pretty much discuss this, because in the end, it is not really a fashion question, right? It's wardrobe shame. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So hi, Emily. I'm so excited to have you all on. So yeah, I want to maybe break down first like what wardrobe shame actually is. Because as you saw, or if you go onto the post and you see, I've linked the post that kind of triggered this whole down spiral tunneling into this whole topic, from Dr. Heather England. She wrote about the sexual fuckery, and she talked about sexual shame and how sexual shame tells you, especially as a midlife woman, that your visibility is too much, that your desire is too much, that your body being seen is wrong, and that you need permission to exist loudly. And the permission to want things. I think that's also like the big part of her, that your body may be wanting pleasure, that this is wrong. And the more I read about her piece and the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, but this is like, if we think about it from an embodiment perspective, which is what I'm looking into, wardrobe shame tells the exact same thing, just differently worded in different room. Wardrobe shame tells you that your visibility is too much, your body being seen is wrong, that you need permission to exist loudly. And in what world do you need permission to exist? It's your birthright. You're born onto this planet, so your birthright is to exist. And I just needed to point out that the mechanism that Dr. Heather England had pointed out is the same one that I am pointing out in the post, that it's just coded in a different room, that you are standing in a different room, but the mechanism is the same. And the big part that I'm so frustrated with is that both sever you from knowing what you actually want. Both make you responsible for managing everyone else's comfort with your own body. How does that make sense? It's your body. I mean, if we're looking at it from a social perspective, of course it makes sense. And we all have that shared lived experience for a reason. Nonetheless, though, both mechanisms teach you that your body, closed or unclosed, wanting or visible, that your body is always the problem. And that's what I am here for on this entire platform, to validate your feelings, to make it very clear that you are allowed to exist, that you have permission to be your authentic self. And I'm here as your big sister on this platform to practically tell you that what you wear matters, but not the way you think. That what you wear matters means so much more than a lot of people trivialize. And the part that around wardrobe shame that gets me and that makes me so freaking angry, trying to calm down with my language. I know I've thrown a lot of F-bombs around in my last post, but the part that gets me is that you learn this shame so early and you're not even aware of it. You learn the shame too early. And the problem is that not even through one big point that you can, or one situation that you can point perfectly at. It's through so many thousand small corrections that are passive, that are complicated, that are, in general, just like layered, and it embodies, and you start reading into it more than you should. Hi, Dana. Oh my God, so many people are attending. I'm so excited. I have to shout out to the amazing people that are on this platform who are just sharing the mission to just empower women and empower us all here to be here who we are. So yeah. So anyway, so the whole wardrobe shame aspect of things is what I'm wanting to debunk, and what I debunked in that post. Because if we're looking at it from a timeline, I'm curious. Drop it into the chats. I'm so curious. Have you heard at, I don't know, age 5 to 7, oh, that skirt is too short? Or, I don't know, maybe age 12 when you start puberty, like, oh, you're not wearing that to school from your parents. Or maybe at age 16, and that's the one that gets me the most as a woman, like, oh, boys will get the wrong idea. That's a good one, right? Like, because we need to dress to accommodate other people's impulses, which is a complete other conversation that we need to have, and that I have all the time on this platform. And or later on when you are going into the office, like, oh, isn't that a bit too much? And the one that gets me the most, that I have the most beef with personally, is, you're really going to wear that? That sentence has shaped me if I look at it retroactively, has shaped me in a form that I had years to unlearn. So I spoke about this also in my post, and I want to bring in the personal story, a little bit more context here, because I think it's really important. Before I met my husband, I was in a long-term relationship. We're talking 7.5 years, in my formative years. I was with him from 16 to 23. And that whole relationship is, if you look back at it, in many ways, actually quite problematic, if we're looking at it from an age perspective alone. But the biggest problem that I had is that it was also passively affecting and conditioning who I am now. To give you the example that kind of ended up and freed me, which I spoke to in that post, I'm also going to drop, because so many more people have joined. I'm going to drop the link to that post again in. The whole situation boiled up to the peak climax point of that relationship was in September 2017. So we're talking almost a decade ago. I moved to New York City for half a year for an internship. I was working as a design intern, and silly me, I was a little bit not looking enough into the weather forecast. And because I was there for 6 months and you only have sparingly space to travel from the overseas to the US in luggage, literal space, I really struggled with like packing. And I ended up packing a lot of winter clothes, totally underestimating that in September, especially early September, it's still breathing hot in New York. So what did I do? I, of course, on the weekend when I had time, I went actually shopping, and I, bought a few dresses here, a few skirts, everything that kind of felt like a new beginning. Almost, I kind of made it a whole spree thing, and it was really cool. And then I came across a coat. It was like a transition coat, perfect for fall or spring when you're going from warm to cold, but it's not cold enough that you already have to wear your big like duffel coat. And yeah, I saw that coat, and it was absolutely nothing that I've ever worn in my life. It's a houndstooth. It has like a beige and white and black and even a bit of ochre and yellow threading in it. It's boxy, but definitely not feminine under no social considered circumstances. And I saw this coat, and it was almost like love at first sight. Sounds super naive, but it's a coat. And then I pulled it off the rack and I tried it on, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, that's me. That's me right there. Right there. And I loved it. I loved it immediately. And I loved who I am in the coat and how I could feel in it. And yeah, I kind of like looked at myself and I was like, wow, this is so me. And then I ended up standing there in the middle of that store, looking at myself, a self that I want to be. And I started negotiating. Because of course, I went through 7 years plus conditioning that you're really going to wear that. You're really going to wear that. You really want to wear that. And it was so crazy because I was negotiating with a ghost who isn't even there. In that moment, I was negotiating with a voice that I had in my head because someone had conditioned me into this is not what I'm supposed to wear because I'm a woman and I have to wear fitted things and I can only wear jeans and t-shirt and I can only wear certain things and the skirts needs to be that and that long. And I realized it fell off of me in that moment that I realized that I'm so conditioned in how I have to represent myself so that this person is comfortable. And that person isn't even there. And the biggest heartbreak of it all is that I actually didn't buy the coat. I was struggling so much with 23 to come to the terms with that if I buy this coat, I'm making a decision that is irreversible. And I literally left the store with my shopping that I already done that is appropriate and that I didn't have to negotiate much over. And I walked to my Airbnb in Lexington Avenue, and I came home and keep in mind, it was a Sunday like afternoon. So, and my boyfriend at the time lived in Germany, and he is an amateur soccer player. And so I knew that he was on the soccer field or whatever, or they were partying afterwards, drinking their beer, whatever. And I literally walked through the door and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I'm suffocating under this internalized wardrobe shame that he has put onto me for 7 years. So what did I do? I had no shame whatsoever. I called him, even though it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. I called him, and for him, it came out of nowhere. For me, that was brooding under my skin for a very long time. And I ended it. I ended the relationship. Then I called my mom, and my mom picks up any time of the day. She was a little bit shocked too. I remember she was like, "What? Why that now?" And I explained it to her, like not in that detail now, but I explained to her that I just can't do this anymore. we talked for a little bit, and then I went melodramatic me, went into the shower and sobbed my entire body out, let the entire situation just metabolize through my skin. And then I went to bed and I slept. I slept the best sleep I had in years. And the next morning before I went to work, I bought the coat. And I have not gone back. I still have the coat. The coat was, at a time, it served its purpose as a litmus test. When I met my now husband, I actually asked him very in the beginning, like, what do you think of that coat? I was just like testing it. And he was like, that's such a cool coat. It seems like so you. And I'm like, yes, that's a keeper. And I kept him. So it's like this internalized wardrobe shame kind of washed off of me in that moment when I realized I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to sit there anymore and wait for judgment that might not even come. That's the biggest part of it when you look at it psychologically. We are embodying this shame for so long that we lose reality, the concept of the reality of the world. Like, I can promise you, most people that when you walk out on the street, they don't care about you. They don't care. And also, to be fair, most people don't dress super eccentrically and out of the on the top, and not everyone walks around like Iris Apfel. Not everyone wears big glasses like I do. A lot of people wear gray hair now, so that's not even like special anymore. That used to be more special a couple of years ago. People dye their hair, but that's also kind of, we see that more and more now. People are embracing the individualistic expression of self way, way more. And I just wanted to stop asking permission from ghosts. And my post is there to give you the permission as well, that you can stop asking that from ghosts. In the end, when I look back at this whole situation, like, and me hearing his voice, like he stood right next to me and telling me that, oh, you're really gonna wear that. And I had to then tell myself, like, maybe someday. That's what I always had in mind, like, maybe someday. I realized that I just didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to do this maybe someday. Because also, can we be quite blunt, and I know this is very philosophical and whatever, but life is too short for too many maybe somedays. Wear the clothes. Wear the clothes you have in your wardrobe that you haven't allowed yourself to wear. I have been free of this internalized shame since. But also, I need to be really honest, that it took a lot of work and a lot of reflection and support system to just get rid of that internalized shame, to learn that this is just a mechanism that I was unconsciously conditioned into. I don't even think, to give him a bit of credit, I don't even think that he did it maliciously. It was just like because I didn't dress the way he would have preferred. So that was kind of the polite way of telling me that my body was wrong, even though he didn't want to say it outright, because that's cruel to say. I'm not sure, if I think about it now, if that internalized shame was more cruel in the end than if he would have just told me I hate it. But, you know, here's the near and there. It's too long ago now. And what I mean to say is that, like, you don't need to permission. You never did. You never needed to get permission. So, yeah, that's that. And I wanted this live to happen also so we can talk a little bit about how this shame shows up in your closet right now. Because yes, I've given you, I think, a quite visceral example on how that showed up in my wardrobe or in my purchasing decisions. But I want you all to think about the last time you got dressed for something. Can be work, can be just going out on a date, can be for school, can be for a call, can be for anything. And anything that mattered. I think that's important. Anything that mattered. How many outfits did you try on? Like, drop it into the comments. I'm very curious to see, like, how many of you, like, rotate through, like, 4 or 5 outfits before they land on one? And how many times did you change because something felt too much, not right, not anything. And how many times do you hear, or did you hear, the voice in your head that sounded like, "You really gonna wear that?" Or, "Where do you think you're going to go dressed like that?" That's a very favorite one of a lot of people that I've heard. Or, "Oh, that's a good one. Isn't that a bit young? Because I don't know, the skirt or the shorts are a few centimeters too short." Or, "Oh, why are you wearing that color?" That's a good one too. Like, or even better, "You're brave to wear that color." And how does these questions, these internalized thoughts, these voices, how do they resonate within your body? Because there is a massive difference when you actually hear these sentences in real life. Because there's a massive difference between, "Oh, you're brave to wear that color," versus, "Wow, you're so brave to wear that color." Tone, context, all of that it's all context dependent. But the problem is that, as you saw, like, the voice in your head oftentimes reverts to the first, not the latter. The latter would be great. That means you have a hype voice in your head. We want that voice, right? The voice that we most often have, especially as women, is the first one. The first one that's critical, that's reflective of whatever insecurity we carry, the trauma we carry, all of the context that makes us who we are now. And that we need to work through to get better into a better mental health state and better embodied and congruent state. And in the end, I want you to understand how this shame works, because you have been trained passively, unconsciously, to expect judgment from the world, especially as women. And that makes sense. If we look at fashion history, all the way back, we were just an accessory. We weren't even a human being. We're still no human being if we're real about it. We were an accessory to the man. And the more we were flourishing and fitting the societal expectations of what wealth looks like, the more we were representing a successful man. We're not living in those times anymore, and I hope that we're working towards not living in those times anymore further, and we're pushing further. And every amazing creator on here who is highlighting the feministic movements that we're still having to fight, because that's what the patriarchy wants. We need to let go of this need of external enforcement of who we are anymore. We don't need it technically. We're not reliant and dependent. We are as free as we were. Well, taking steps back now, but we were as free as we ever been now as women in society. We are right now in a time where we can vote, we can dress how we want, we don't have to marry. We see the statistics. Women don't want to have children anymore. Women don't need men anymore because they were financial providers. Yeah, we're still fighting tooth and nail for equal pay and for having the same advantages as men, which we never will have unless we're smashing the patriarchy. But in the end, we are as free as we have ever been. And this internalized shame is still keeping us in those chains. And I just think that if we're thinking about the contexts and the subtle ways that we're conditioned, that will be the way we're breaking the chains and breaking free completely, at least mentally. So step there ahead. And I just want you all to know that you have internalized this wardrobe shame so completely. And I'm not even touching upon a body positivity. I am bigger bodied. I know that fat shaming is a massive problem, which is the wardrobe shame accelerated. I have actually another post coming out in the next couple of weeks about that, because that just needs the space to be spoken about aloud alone. The thing is, though, that you have internalized this shame so completely that you're policing yourself and you're putting yourself in those chains. And the closet became the place where you're consistently negotiating every single morning. And can we please be blunt about this? Isn't this exhausting to negotiate every single fucking day how you are, dressing to please other people's comfort? What about my comfort? Let me be selfish about it. What about my comfort? What about my well-being? The same for you guys. What about your well-being? What about your comfort? The like the questions that you are asking yourself, instead of, oh, how do I want to feel that day, or how do I want to present myself? How can I be the most authentically me for this day? These questions that you should be asking in the morning are replaced by, do I deserve to be this visible? Will my body be punished for existing loudly? Am I allowed to want to be seen? And most days, based on society and expectations and whatsoever, the answer is no. And the answer should be yes. Because you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be visible. You are deserving of the world. You're worth the entire world. And I don't want you to reach for beige, for black, for safe if you don't strictly have to. If you want to, reach for it. But the want needs to come out of your own anticipation, your own want, your own intention. I'm not saying that beige is bad. I'm not saying that black is bad. I love wearing black. Black is sophisticated. I feel fly in it, right? But I choose black intentionally. I don't wear it to disappear. Sometimes, hey, if we need to disappear out of safety reason or whatever, fair enough. But at least do it intentionally. Don't do it unconsciously. And the problem is with wardrobe shame, when you're getting conditioned into these aspects, the problem is that you then don't make conscious, intentional decisions anymore. And the moment you give your conscious, intentional decisions away, you're giving away your freedom or part of your freedom. And you are worth being free and being loud and being visible and being invisible on your terms. And I think that's just so important that we're discussing this here on this entire Substack on my account, because I want you to reach for your clothes that you love because you love it. And I want you to stop reaching for invisibility because it's a risk. If you want to take the risk of visibility, please know that the shame that we are embodying and that has been conditioned into us from young ages on is not because is not only painful for your own development and your empowerment of who you are, but also painful in a sense that it's oftentimes false. The reality is a lot of people are so occupied with their own problems in their own life, and they're carrying the same shame. They literally walk around and worrying about the same shame. You're being shamed about the same things. Really? You want to live in chains just because everyone else is struggling with walking out on the street and worried that anyone is saying something negative? I actually started to do this at Good Practice years ago, that I walk up to strangers, and that's really funny sometimes because people are very confused when you approach people in London because people are not used to being approached in London. But I reach out to people when I see like a woman in a gorgeous dress, and I know that she put a lot of effort and probably negotiated hard and heavy that morning to wear this dress. I walk up to her and I give her the positive affirmation that she deserves. She deserves to be visible. So I walked up to her and I was like, you look absolutely gorgeous today. And she was so confused and so startled. And then it trickled into, wow, thank you. I needed to hear that. I wasn't sure if I should wear this today. And I'm like, why did you end up wearing it? And then she said, literally, because I wanted to, and I wanted to feel good in it. But then I was worried the moment I stepped out the door that I'm not feeling like good in it, because other people's opinions do matter to a degree. For some people more, for some people less. I don't really give a shit anymore at all. So that's quite freeing, I can promise. So yeah, that's practically the framework of the entire post. And that's how shame works. And what I actually really want to know, not in theory, but from you all right now, what does it look like in your closet? Like, because the mechanisms are universal. We are all shared lived experiences in that. The stories are very specific, like my code story, but I'm really curious if anyone is willing to share. I would love if anyone has like comments and thoughts or has like a story that you would love to share. Please drop them in the comments. I think it's so important to talk about these things and to realize that we're not alone in this. So yeah, I give you a few minutes to just like type it out if you want to. And I also know that typing in a chat sometimes can feel a bit weird. I started to attend more Substack lives because they're so interesting, and I love to hear people going into conversations. But yeah, wouldn't that be funny if I end up alone in this lived experience, which I doubt. I know for certain that I'm not alone in it. With the code was maybe a bit extreme, but just curious. Maybe while people are commenting or thinking or having this digest, maybe drop in a yes if any of this sounds familiar. Maybe start simply and easily like that. If you don't want to type out your entire story, which I understand. Or no. I mean, hey, if you don't feel that way, I'm curious. I love pushback too. If you think like this is not what you have experienced, which I'm also hoping you didn't, because it's really gruesome to do. Ah, there's a yes. I think the most common ones that I hear, especially when I do like coaching and I'm sitting with people together, is definitely that I bought something that I loved and I brought it home and it's been hanging in my closet ever since. That's one that I hear a lot. And then when I, as a coach, come in and we talk about these pieces specifically, it always comes back down to, first of all, I don't know how to wear it. But then also, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to wear it. Or I wore it once and then someone made a comment that felt very loaded. And then I wasn't sure what they meant. And I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to make myself vulnerable. That's also something I hear often. What's another example? It can even be like painful in a way that you carry the pain still and it turned into shame. Like maybe someone made a comment to you 5 years ago, 5 months ago, yesterday. And you still hear that in your head repeating all the time, anytime you get dressed. And it taints the memory that's in your wardrobe piece, in that clothing piece. That's also very often the case. Oh, no. What else do we have? There are so many facets and ways that that wardrobe shame comes and goes and trickles into you. I think probably the simplest version is you reached for something this morning and then you heard a voice saying, "Are you sure?" And then you started either negotiating or because you already had that doubt trickled into your brain, you kind of decided not to take it. You didn't want to take the risk of maybe I am not sure. But the thing is, there are reasons why we're not sure. And I think that's important. You're all sweet. I got all of the hearts. That's very cute. Oh. I guess this can also just be a life where we're like utterly, like where I'm utterly barking at you to just wear the fucking thing, which is fine too. Let me drop in the the link once more, because then we have a few more people who have joined. So like pulling up my notes. I was really surprised by some of the comments that came up, because I know that my Once Upon a Lie series is the more, let's say, the more brutal one, the one that is ripping people's eyes open by me eviscerating your fairy tales you grew up in, from a feminist cultural critique perspective. But I think that in the end, I'm doing this work because I want people to just feel safe in who they are and validated that they're a good person, and that what you wear doesn't impact your goodness, or it's not a character flaw. And I hate how the world makes us believe that that is just what life is. And I just don't believe that the world should dictate our worth based on what we wear. And I know, of course, fashion historical, as I mentioned earlier, that our worth as a woman has been determined for however long society exists of how useful we can be, and how we can just benefit society by how we look. And but in the end, also men take whatever they want anyway. And I created conditions in my life that support me flourishing the way I want to. Like, my husband has not mentioned once, like, a passive aggressive comment that made me doubt what I wear. Do I ask him if that is actually like flattering, or do I ask him if this looks good, if the proportions look good? My questions have gotten very specific by now, because I don't want to hear like, oh, do I look cute? Like, he's going to tell me if I look cute or if I look pretty. But I have created conditions, like with a partner, with living in a bigger city, where not being anonymous is a big benefit if you are trying to figure out who you are and how you're addressing the world to face the world. I think overarchingly that is just like super interesting to figure out the conditions that work. Some don't. My husband and I were living in London for how long? 4 years. You have been living here for 3. Yeah, my husband is sitting in the living room, so he said. So my husband has been living in London for 3 years, and I moved here in 2021, which is now 5 years. Holy moly, time flies. And I kind of like thought that London is a really, really great place to flourish in a way that I felt that I can flourish in New York. And comes out it's not the way. It's different. The city is very, very different in its culture and its expectations and its interpersonal relationships and how people interact with one another. Like, I feel very anonymous here. Like, very. Like, people don't look at you. Which is helpful in another way, because you can wear whatever you want. I probably could walk out. I could walk out in practically underwear and people won't look really. And even then, and if you wear something that is absolutely considered scandalous, then people might get a bit judgmental. But also then, like, why do I care about the judgment of people that I've never met in my life? And I probably will never meet again. So I don't know. It's all in the end coming down to how we are perceiving ourselves, what is important, what is not. And if you are facing that internalized shame and you are trying to break free from that, I think I want to leave you with a little bit of positive affirmation, a little bit more of positive affirmation. You are not afraid to wear the coat or the dress or the shirt or the glasses. You are afraid of the judgment you have learned to expect. And this judgment that you are expecting, it says more about the system that installed the fear into us than it actually does about you. And your body, like I said, doesn't owe anyone invisibility. You're allowed to be visible and loud and proud. Your closet doesn't need to apologize for taking up space either. Your body doesn't need to apologize for taking up space either. I felt like I used to be quite skinny. I had issues with my body image for a long time, still do. We still fight it every day. You cannot ever be 100% confident every day. It's just not how the system works, especially not for us women. But I'm a fuller-bodied woman, so now, and I haven't been that way always. And now I'm realizing how privileged I was in a body that was more societal acceptable than tongue twister. Wow, than it is now. And then on top of it, I'm aging out of the acceptable age of being visible, because I'm no longer 20. I'm now in my early 30s. I'm still young, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like society is having different expectations around what you are supposed to do and how you're supposed to look, and especially for us women. And I had this, like, I was so worried when I broke up with this boyfriend of over 7 years, because he is like I said, soccer player, so a very sporty guy. And he wanted a very fit woman. And I hate sports. I hate working out. I just hate it. I hate the pain. I hate the suffering. I understand that for a lot of people, it's a dopamine rush and it's great. And I also understand that the endorphins that come with working out is, from a very biological perspective, amazing. I hate it. I haven't found my sport yet, I guess. I love dancing, but that's not burning as much calories as it should, I guess. And I love food. I don't want to negotiate my dinner plate. Like, then we're bringing the wardrobe shame into the fucking kitchen. It's another room once again. We just took it in this life from the bed to the wardrobe, now to the kitchen. And I just think I want to live life to the fullest. And that means that I love to eat chocolate and I love to eat snacks and I love to just, indulge. And my activity levels don't weigh that out, so I can be skinny, thin. And I'm not saying that, neither here nor there. I'm also not saying that people who are super skinny are happy. I'm not saying that, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that I had to come to terms with that society will always judge me because I don't have my hair long enough. I don't dye my hair enough. I don't shape my body enough. I cannot stay young forever. That's just how life is. And I had to come to terms with the fact that my body will take up more space, which also means that it will take up more space and be more vulnerable to judgment. And then I had to make this conscious decision to not let that judgment bother me, because they're judging me because they feel either insecure about their own body or they're feeling, I had one person who was hating here on Substack who told me, like, I'm fat and ugly. And I'm like, okay, so what? I only saw it more from a perspective of like, oh, I got my first hate comment. Wow, I'm famous now. I said something controversial enough, and then she reduced it down to how I look. Wow, that's very innovative. So I don't know. And I can promise you, when you are starting to live in this mindset of like, I don't give a fuck, I have no more fucks to give, then life gets so much more fun and so much lighter. And I dress the hell I want. So I can vouch for that life being very beneficial. But also, I've been there with the internalized wardrobe shame. And plate kitchen shame, and however we want to call it. So yeah. How annoying is it that the system taught us more shame than love? Wow. Actually, I could write an entire new piece about that. So yeah. Anywho, it's already 45. We're getting on time. I write about this stuff every week. I write about empowerment and wardrobe, fashion psychology a lot. For the people who don't know the term fashion psychology, what I do is that I look into what we wear and how what we wear affects how we think, feel, and behave, and how we negotiate the world, and how, that practically affects our internal versus external state of mind, and how what we wear matters, and how that is inconvenient, but I don't apologize for it either. So yeah, I write about that. And then I write also every week, I try to at least, because I'm a very strong advocate for equality and harmony, and us living in a world where everyone is safe, every single human being out there, no matter how you are presenting yourself, how you are defining yourself. And I write about the feminist cultural debunk of my fairy tales. Like, I usually shred and rip into pieces fairy tales we grew up in. I had one that came out last week, Saturday, because I was delayed because I had a bit of a hiatus with my keyboard. But yeah, and in those, I wrote one about donkey skin, which I highly recommend for anyone who has never heard of that fairy tale before. Don't read into it. You can read my piece. I have put a summary into that. You don't have to read the whole thing because that's ridiculous. This is the weirdest thing I've ever read in my life. Also makes no sense. No sense. None whatsoever. So that was last week, and I wrote about Mother's Day. Like, it was linked to Mother's Day. And then I have a new piece coming out tomorrow, which is about the Goose Girl. Not sure if you have heard of that fairy tale before. And I'm actually addressing girl code and girl world and jealousy, and how that shows with how we dress and how we in society are forced to make this judgment, and how jealousy is instilled in us as well. So I wrote about this. It's going to come out tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the pieces. And otherwise than that, I want you all to stop asking for permission for what you wear tomorrow morning, and the day after, and the day after that. Stop asking permission from ghosts, and start asking permission of yourself, and not the self that is shaped by the ghosts, but more the self that is empowered and ready to conquer the world in the best way you can. And I just want you all to dress up and dress down, or however you need, and simply, easily allowed to exist. That's all that I want for you all. Patty, thank you so much for joining, and you're very welcome. I'm so glad. Like, for me, this whole subject life thing is new. So I'm trying to get into the groove of it. So yeah, anywho, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for attending. Thank you for sticking through all the way. And now, go out and wear that thing. I keep you posted. I'm excited. Also, make sure to drop into the subscriber chat your latest posts. I want to read them all. And now go out, or tomorrow morning, and wear that thing. Have a wonderful Thursday evening, or wherever you are, and a wonderful weekend. And Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.